DC Star-Lord 29, um, and welcome to my channel. I know you guys are probably been like, you just did the Matrix, you just did the Matrix, Resurrection video, just, yesterday or whatever. Yes, I did. But I was inspired to actually do this video, this real quick video, about Riverdale or Rivervale. The last one I did about Riverdale was talking about um, DC, being referencing some DC characters. And one of the episodes, the last video I did about Riverdale, and how they're like, oh, maybe try and get in the Space Jam universe. That was just me. That was just me saying that. But this one is actually a five-part series event, just like how they brought, just like how they brought like Kingpin from the Netflix Daredevil show canon into the MCU with Hawkeye. Now, why are you talking about Hawkeye? You get to the point. I'll get to my point here. They're bringing back someone. They're also brought back one of their Riverdale spinoff show characters into this Riverdale five-part episode. Sabrina. Sabrina the Teenage Witch was their Netflix spinoff show from Riverdale, and she lives in Greendale. Greendale's right next to Riverdale. You get my points. They invite her in for one episode. In this whole five-part series, they have different things leading up to it, but it leads up to one thing: a bomb in Archie's room with Betty and Archie. Betty and Archie were trying to make love in their bed, and supposedly from there they blow up, but they don't die. They went to a different multiverse, a different like pocket dimension or multiverse, and this is what we find out in the very last episode, which is number 5, which I'll get to. So basically, the other 4 episodes are basically alternate reality episodes. One was about the devil, um, and that one's about the devil that leads into actually having Sabrina in it, and Sabrina in this episode was helping out Cheryl. Tony becomes Law La Corona. It's also a movie where this legend is like a ghost that kills their children and like weeps and tries to find other children to kill in Riverdale. And then I forgot what the big first one was. Um, the first one started all, but I forgot. But I forgot some of the events and some of the stuff. But but Jughead was the narrator throughout the whole 5-part series. But what I mainly wanted to get on here was I'll talk a little bit about Sabrina. I'll talk a little bit about all that. But the third episode, for the 5th episode, they referenced the other episode before it, which was the 4th episode um, about like the devil and Sabrina going in there, and then like also the first 2 were just like alternate episodes of like again Riverdale, but we finally figure out why it was like Riverdale, but a much more darker. So basically, it's a much more darker universe. So the 5th episode references the 4th episode, and then basically there's 3. The basically you see more than one Jughead, and I'll get to it. So like you know how I'm gonna do another MCU reference here. If you've seen Spider-Man No Way Home, this is no spoiler for you at all. But if you have not seen it, do not watch this part of the video, because I'm about to spoil something that is referencing from this show to that into that movie. So if you've seen Spider-Man No Way Home, the people that have seen it, again, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. So the people that have seen it, you see those 3 Spider-Mans. You see Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire, right? And the way they come in when the Doctor Strange, those 2 came into a Doctor Strange portal, and they do what they normally do, and then they try to help out our current Tom Holland Peter Parker with what he's struggling with. Well, same exact thing with this, but it's a little bit different. Jughead wakes up from Archie's in Archie's garage. But also before that, he was on the stairway, and then he gets blown up, and he's in a different alternate universe, where he figures out this is a pot. He slowly figures out it's a pocket universe. But before that, he goes. His girlfriend Tabitha says you should be nervous. Uh, I mean, you should be. I mean, it's your first day of school. I can see why you're nervous, and you should be nervous. He goes to back to school because he's a teacher now, and he's also a writer throughout the whole other episodes of the season. And then he sees his friends, all adult versions of them, but also sees their teenage versions of themselves, especially himself um, as a teenager. But that's not the only person that also has an alternate version of himself, just like Tom Holland, Peter, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, where there's Andrew and Toby. Another person shows up. That's just like from a different. I mean, in the same from the beginning of the show, but a different person playing the same character, which he left for Netflix's show, 13 Reasons Why. The original Reggie shows up, and then you have Reggie, the current Reggie that we know, and there, and then the current Reggie before the Reggie shows up notices in one comic book issue of Riverdale and Rivervale, and I'll get to the comic book thing pretty soon here. He sees there's two different versions of Reggie. One looks like him, one looks like another version. So, there's an alternate version of Reggie that was from Friday the 13th. From 13 Reasons Why. So, before that, like I said, Jughead realizes he has seen alternate versions of them, and he discovers these comic books that are alternate versions of the comic books of Riverdale are the same memories they had throughout the rest of the seasons of these shows, and Rivervale is alternate versions of that, but a little bit darker. So some of the stuff and their changes because they're alternate versions of themselves. So while they're discovering that, again, go back to art. Go back to Reggie. Um, notices there's two different versions of himself. So the Reggie from 13 Reasons Why shows up and says, hey baby, to Veronica, and then there's two different Reggies. So like Tom Holland has two different versions of Peter Parker and his movie. Same thing with Jughead seeing alternate versions of himself. So far, one version, teenage version. Later on, the narrator version of him comes in and says, "There's a way we can separate these universes." So the writer and narrator versions of themselves saw each other. So that's in the very beginning of that. That's who died. The narrator version, but who's killing these people in the show? Once again, they go through the Black Hood and Jason Blossom being alive, Jason Blossom being killed from the Black Hood. The Black Hood ended up being his father. An alternate version of that story. Betty and Archie are getting married in this also, and then what's her name? Cheryl's getting strangled by some mystery person, and alternate things happen. Now also, Ethel, that was also went into 13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why for the first season was back as Ethel, and into the story, and some characters from this show that reappeared in this were also in this because it's an alternate version. So Rivervale was pretty much again a darker version of Riverdale. So it's very confusing, but it's basically like a multiverse episode, and then once the two Jugheads figure out how they can split apart, there's a place that they go. There's a place that all the people go when they die. They go to heaven. That chocolate pops Pop's Chocolate Shop in the Sky, which it looks like the 1960 version of the comic book. So they when they do these special episodes, they always do like the 60s version of them. So everyone looks like the 60s version. All the characters, Archie, Betty, Veronica, all that. Jughead, the narrator version of Jughead, goes up there. So technically, that's the same person, but he goes up there and he looks at the Riverdale comic book, which is Riverdale and Rivervale to break the multiverse pocket dimension, and he looks just like the original comic book. So far you have a teenage version of Jughead, the current Jughead that we're following, which is the writer, then the narrator for the whole rest of this 5-part episode, and then you have two versions of Reggie that end up well. I'm not gonna spoil it if you want to watch the show, but they end up fighting, and well, we'll just leave it at that. And once they figure out everything else that happens, the writer version is going to keep on writing stories to keep Riverdale safe and not have be bothered in this pocket dimension. Same thing with the narrator. The narrator has to keep the story going on. So basically, the writer holds the destiny of all the stories of Riverdale and Rivervale because Jughead's the Deadpool of the universe. He breaks the fourth wall. He's like the only one that can understand the universe, just like Deadpool can understand. He's in a comic book, and a movie, TV show, and he can break the fourth wall because he knows he's in. Though he knows he's in a comic book universe, and he knows he's in a movie. He knows he's in a movie. Same thing with Jughead. He knows he's in a comic book. He knows he's self-aware of where he's at. So basically, like Deadpool, he's self-aware. He's self-aware of where his surroundings are, and he's self-aware about everything that goes on in the town. So that's why the writer gets to write the story and narrator narrates. So basically, it was like a No Way Home Riverdale, but it was called Rivervale. So if you look at it in Spider-Man point of view, it's Riverdale No Way Home, or Rivervale No Way Home. Anyways, if you like this video, put a like, subscribe, hit the notification, leave a comment, say something that I know you're there, and basically, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this. This is just it might seem like a long video, but it's a quick little video that I want to say, like, Spider-Man's not the only one that does a multiverse story, and Spider-Man's not the only one that did a multiverse story this year. It was also Riverdale, but Spider-Man did it bigger. And I don't know if Riverdale or Rivervale in this 5-part series is actually trying to compete with Spider-Man No Way Home, but either way, they're both kind of sharing the same multiverse idea. So I'm out. Peace out. See you guys later.